that is important to create a connection between the listener. Like when I show like Victoria on My Mama.
Oh yeah.
And people are like, I know that song.
What? You didn't know he did that? Tell me you didn't know he did that record.
Well, guys, there's going to be a part 2 to this because there's a lot more questions.
He's nominated for mad shit.
Yeah, but that's what
the record of the year is like the one for sure.
Yo, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate it. No.
Oh, you put something in there.
Life
You put some magic in there, which we brought that up the other day. Shout out real quick. This is a actual question for Ulysses. Shout out Ulysses of OTR.
Facts, OTR.
We actually went back and forth the other day because we were listening to the record and we were like,
Victoria
on My Mama, and we were like, yo, some of her breaths. Victoria's a very dynamic vocalist.
Yes.
Some of her breaths, and it all like while dynamic, it all still sounded consistent.
Yes.
Are
That's
you
going
using
through and clip gaining it?
Yeah.
And so like
okay.
I'll go through and like if this breath is like and then that breath is like I'll bring this one down because I want to create like a natural sounding thing. You don't want to be listening to a record and one breath is loud, the other one's low.
Right.
Sometimes I even have to EQ it because sometimes a breath or an S, one S will be like and then the other one will be fine.
Right.
So I'll do two things. I'll either EQ it or if it doesn't sound right, EQing it because sometimes you can kill it to the point where it doesn't sound natural.
Right.
I'll find another S. And that's where I got, there was this really, can't say his name, but there's this really famous, very famous person that doesn't even do music that I would record him before I started with Chris. And the way he would record is like, if he'd be like, the cow went to the mall, and he'd record, the cow went to the mall, the cow went to the mall, over and over and over and over. And then I'd grab the cow, bruh, and I'd piece it. And then when I'd get here, I'd start nudging and kind of piecing it together to get it to sound natural. And I was able to get everything to sound really natural. And all of this stuff, I think to me, all the stuff I went through before Chris was a preparation to Chris. To get with him, right? And then what Chris got me was ninja training.
Right.
Like for real. Like, and I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to do that crazy edit because he could sing lines easily. But I had to do that so then I could become really good at other shit.
Right.
So then it was about finding like, if there's an S or a sh over here that I could use here. That's why I'll hear something that's wrong and I'll immediately start thinking like, where else in the song does this exist?
Oh, okay.
And I'll grab the sh and I'll bring it over there. I may have to change it. I may have to size it. I may have to EQ it to get it to sound natural. But for me, it's all about listening to something and saying, does it sound natural? Like it's if I'm talking.
Right.
And that's constantly my thinking is because sometimes you have to make bold moves.
Right.
You know, to try to get shit to like sound dope. You have to cut shit no one's ever going to know because it sounds natural. But for the most part, a lot of times S's like this S might be fine. This S is not good.
Right.
If that S is good to bring over here, I'll bring it over and I'll copy it there.
Right. And that's how you get that consistency with just basically
you have to have consistency with clip
like
gaining and then I use audio suite. Like if there's like sometimes a lot of times this happens, you'll have a verse and one part goes and it's like super resonant.
Right.
So like don't go to the EQ on that track and take that resonant because you're affecting now every other vocal that's fine.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll highlight that little E part and I'll take the audio suite, I'll put it on where it shows a little thing so it like loops.
Yeah.
And then you'll immediately you'll see that part.
Right.
And you'll hear it and then bring it down and then when you commit it, you play through and it sounds natural.
Consistent.
So I keep sometimes I have to go through the audio suite a bunch of like parts where the vocal gets resonant goes up.
Right.
But it's like sometimes it's like 2 or 3 lines and at that point I'll just make a new track and then I'll put another EQ just on that where I'm attacking those frequencies.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's all about create. It doesn't matter how, if I have to make 5 tracks, who the fuck cares? We can have how many tracks? Thousands of tracks now.
Right.
So don't compromise and be like, well, I'm just going to do it to the whole EQ because it's on that track. Yeah, make another fucking track and then do it to that so that it can be perfect.
Right.
I'm a perfectionist with shit. And still, I don't feel like everything is, it's one of those things where it's like,
I feel you.
It's never perfect.
Right.
You know, it's like.
At some point, I feel like, my mama, we're going to talk about it in 3 years. You'll be like, man, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. No, I did that shit. They came to me out of nowhere, bro. They were like, can you mix this record? And I was like, and I've known Victoria for a very long time. Not personally like that, but when I worked with Eric Bellinger back in the day.
Yeah.
His manager was working with Victoria.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And now Victoria's with the girl named Rochelle, who's an amazing manager. And they came to me and they were like, yo, we want you to mix this record. And I was like, and this producer Deputy, shout out to Deputy because I think he suggested me for the mix.
Interesting.
Because he produced it. And it was the first time I had worked with him. He just out of nowhere, you know, and God bless him. But he came to me. I mixed the record. We had some light changes.
Right. Yeah.
And then even when the record came out, it was no different than any other record. I mean, like, you know, until it really took off, until we got the Grammy nominations, like
we got
that shit. Now it's like I pinned it on my Instagram because I'm like, this record could win a fucking crazy. We're also up for best engineered album.
I seen that.
Yeah,
that
I saw
too.
that. I
We
was
peeped that. Congrats on that.
Which
man.
I'm trying to figure out. Like, do me and Neil Pogue like go up there and receive it? I don't know.
I don't-
I haven't sit in my chair.
I didn't. I
haven't
never.
taken a picture.
To be honest with you, and I feel bad for saying this on the Audio Nerds platform, but I didn't know like it was a best engineered album. Like that.
There's
That's
a
don't
best
put a lot of-
engineered
yeah.
album.